Hello, and welcome to Thriving Through Uncertainty, a part of the Jewish Federation of Cleveland's weekly wellness series. I'm Shelley Gimbel, a trustee of the Federation's board and one of the coaches for the Women in Philanthropy's Coaching Circles program. I'm also a yoga and fitness enthusiast who believes in the power of self-care and tackling uncertainty head-on. I'm delighted to host the fourth session of the Federation's weekly wellness series and thrilled that there are more than 100 people joining tonight. These programs are designed to help strengthen the resilience of our community and its members, as well as provide a calming sense of safety and social connection. Weekly wellness events have ranged from small group discussions for parents to community events about mindfulness and recharging yourself through cooking. When we talk about thriving, I'm reminded of how our community accomplished remarkable things during a very difficult time. As a community, we are now able to move forward from a position of strength, in large part due to how we approached the past year. Before we hear from Dr. Adan, let's take a look.
In early March of 2020, the world changed as we knew it. And as we entered into the pandemic, we entered a time of unknown, of uncertainty. We didn't know where we were going to go next.
We saw a clear need for information and for action. Certain steps that we took were really just what our job is, to be there for our community.
I don't mind saying that it was a little frightening. A few days after I returned to Cleveland, I found out that when I was out of town, I was exposed to the virus, and I had to be quarantined for a couple of weeks. I knew that it was going to affect our community in a very serious way, and I'm just so happy that our community responded in an appropriate way.
When we first realized that we would have to switch to remote learning, and soon thereafter realized it could be for an extended period of time, it was a little bit of a scramble for us and for the other Jewish day schools. We had to figure out how to convert everything to remote learning. How could we provide the technology necessary for everybody? How can we support our teachers to change how they approached teaching in their classrooms? And how can we provide the emotional support that everybody in our community would really need?
We knew going into the campaign that there were going to be people that just couldn't participate this year. They just couldn't. They were, their jobs had been eliminated, or because of having to be locked down, they were going to be unable to, they were going to be functioning just to kind of get through it. And what that did is that put a responsibility on those of us that could to do a little bit more.
But as we always do in Cleveland, we got together, we communicated, we collaborated, and we faced the challenges head on. One of the things that we talked about a lot was, what are the needs going to be? How are we going to make sure that the elderly are taken care of? How are we going to make sure that people in isolation have connection points? How are we going to make sure that those that are hungry have food on the table?
There were a number of steps that we took immediately to keep the community safe. Number one was talking to the experts about what they were seeing and what they needed. Initially, hands-on volunteers stepping in to deliver food to people who used to receive a hot meal 6 days a week through the Congregate Meals program run by our Mandel Jewish Community Center. That was essential.
I was in the 2 for a virtual summit in one of these private rooms where you get to learn very specific things. Erica said, I can feed everybody who is hungry. I just need to know where they are. I just need to spend a lot of time, infrastructure, strategy to figure out who needs the help, but I have the resources to help them. For her to say that with that boldness, with that leadership, and she meant it.
The fund tries to help agencies, institutions, people that have been affected by the virus. There were so many groups that needed funding to help feed needy people. Here are the institutions that we help: the Cleveland Chesed Center, the Kosher Food Pantry, Diker Cholam, Matan B'Seser, and the West Tribe. We heard the need, and our committee responded.
The same anxiety that we experienced here in Cleveland was experienced by all of our partners overseas. This was unique that all of us were going through this together. In St. Petersburg, we're so proud of the Yesod, the Jewish Community Center, serving all of their membership. They didn't lose a member during the pandemic, and going entirely to virtual programming. We were able to support the social emotional needs of our children in Beit Shan who were in and out of school, many of whom didn't have the technology prior to the pandemic that would enable them to learn distantly.
In the early days of the pandemic, when we were uncertain as to how we were going to fund needs that we knew were going to come at us very, very quickly, and we were trying to assess how we were going to take care of that. We didn't even need to pick up the phone to try to find those dollars. The phone rang to us, and that call was from the Mandel Foundation. And we are ever so grateful for the foundation calling us, saying, what can we do to help? How can we get you over this hump? And how can we make sure that we don't miss a beat in the community?
You can't say enough about the people that support our community. You just can't. People like to know that their gifts matter. And more importantly, that the way they give can be multiplied or magnified by the efforts of other organizations. Mandel Match allowed us to get out of the blocks early.
The Here for Good campaign, we raised an incredible amount of money and were able to have the dollars for the community in the way that we were in previous years was incredibly special. We're just tremendous memories of the challenges that we had as a community and the way that everyone stepped up and we rallied together.
In 20 years, I will still be talking about how the Federation stepped up and raised enormous funds and support for the children of this community and the Jewish day schools. Our community has always had a reputation nationally as one where there's tremendous support for the Jewish day schools from the Federation. This only cemented that further.
It takes a lot for a household to declare themselves in a position to need help. It was a resilience of let's do this by ourselves. And yes, they did the best they could, but it was only because of the Cleveland Federation that we were able to absorb that need and that value. And here we are a year later.
It was never Federation stepping forward by ourselves as an organization. It was Federation as community together with all of these partners.
Just seeing and hearing how quickly we had begun responding as a community really kind of made it clear to me that no matter how long this lasts, we were going to be here for good.
Just the way people rolled up their sleeves and said, what can I do to help? How can I help? It was just, you knew that we were not only going to get through it, but we were going to emerge stronger.
It's heartwarming to see the efforts and how our community addressed the many challenges posed by COVID-19. I would like to take a minute to thank and recognize Jewish Federation of Cleveland Board Chair David Heller and Federation President Eric and Rudin Luria for their leadership during this unprecedented time. You both have steered us through these uncharted waters with so much skill. It gives me confidence that we are well positioned to navigate the coming months into our next normal. Our featured speaker tonight will give us additional tools for us to personally thrive. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to self-care expert, Dr. Françoise Adan. Dr. Françoise Adan is the Chief Whole Health and Wellbeing Officer of University Hospitals and the Director of UH Connor Integrative Health Network. Among other things, Dr. Adan created and is successfully directing a system-wide initiative where state-of-the-art medical care is integrated with innovative evidence-based therapies and services to bring optimal health and well-being to all patients and employees. In response to the COVID-19 pandemic, Dr. Adan spearheaded UH for You, a program designed to provide practical resources and compassionate support for UH's 30,000 caregivers during this challenging time and beyond. With over 25 years of experience, Dr. Adan encourages clients and patients to understand the critical connection between the mind, body, and spirit. In her early years of medical practice, she recognized the limitations of traditional medicine and embraced the benefits of more integrative approach. Trained in psychiatry and board certified in holistic and integrative medicine, Dr. Adan specializes in 3 areas: stress management, work-life balance, and the mind-body-spirit connection. We have 2 ways to interaction tonight: chatting and questions. Please put your thoughts in the chat box and questions in the Q&A box, both of which are located on your Zoom toolbar. We will make time for questions and answers at the conclusion of Dr. Adan's comments. With that, I'm very pleased to turn it over to Dr. Adan.
Thank you so much for having me here. I loved the video. It was phenomenal. And frankly, I think all of you deserve a standing ovation. So kudos to everything you do, and more important, how you do it. And Aaron, I know I'm going to rely to you on advancing my slide. Here we go. So again, thank you so much for having me here tonight. And it seems like you know quite a bit about dealing with uncertainty and actually thriving under uncertainty, and certainly knows how to be resilient as a community. Today, what I'm going to talk about is also how to put the oxygen mask on you. And I know most of us don't like to do that, but you remember when we used to fly, our air attendant every single time told us to put the oxygen mask on us first before we attend someone in need. So today, this is for you. Next slide. So I really want for you to pause. Get back to the gift. Thank you. To take a moment to honor yourself, to really remember and pause of what a year it has been, how much you have given to others, how much you were here to serve each other and your community. And for a moment, for the next literally 20, 25 minutes, turn this and turn your attention to how can I spend some time to take care of me. Tonight is a gift for you. Next one. I always like to start many of my presentations with a short meditation. If you have never done this before, there's no reason to panic. There is no way you cannot do this right. I'm going to take you to this experience and guide you to this exercise. So I suggest you find a comfortable position, maybe sit and find the back of the chair to support you. I suggest you close your eyes, but if you prefer, you can simply look down, and this is just to decrease distraction. And as you do so, start to pay attention to your breath as it goes in and out your nose. Pay attention to your breath means nothing else than being intentionally paying attention to the present. At this very moment, we all decided that there is nothing else to do and no better place to be. You don't need to change anything, just being an observer as the air comes in and out your nose. And using your imagination, see if you can picture an image of peace into your mind's eyes. Maybe it's the word peace. Maybe it's a symbol. Maybe it's a place that you like, or the face of someone you love. And then repeat this simple affirmation silently as you are breathing in, I am, breathing out, peaceful and present. Breathing in, I am, breathing out, peaceful and present. One last time. I am peaceful and present. Take a moment to notice how you feel. Now take a big breath in and breathe out and open your eyes. Wonderful. Thank you. Next slide. So what is stress? Good idea to just spend a moment to really define it. It is our adaptive response, physiological and psychological, to anything that our mind and our body perceive as a change, as a challenge, that we need to make accommodation. So literally a change in traffic as we are driving, a change in temperature, a change in sound, a change in circumstances, good one, bad one, everything that our body and our mind perceive that it requires some adaptation, it's physiologically creating some stress. It had some survival protection when, way back when, or really when we need to flee or fight. It prepares to do this response. But when you think about it, most of the time, literally 99% of the time, there is absolutely no place to flee and certainly no one to fight. So we need to be resourceful and create a different response to stress. That's really what resilience is, and that's how we can thrive under uncertainty. But stress cannot be avoided. It's everywhere, it's constant, it's really part of the human condition. And if you think about what we went through over the last year, it was certainly an amazing perfect storm. Not only we had the pandemic, we were certainly navigate in the complete unknown. And that was not the end of it, right? We had also the political events and everything that was going on in the social injustice and disparity. And I just name a few, plus everything else that was going on in your life. Clearly an immense amount of stress. And certainly you show it as a community you came through. So again, today I'm going to talk about how you can help yourself to navigate this, because pandemic or no pandemic, stress will continue to be there. And today is about thriving under uncertainty. But if you think about it, what do we know? Very little. What's in our control? Very little. A lot of it is being willing to embrace the unknown and willing to embrace the uncertainty, knowing that it is clearly part of the human condition. Next slide. I'd like you to reflect on those 4 questions and keep thinking about it in the next few days, because this is kind of your feedback loop to know how you're doing. Those are not symptoms. Those are more signs, characteristic of how you are. So ask yourself, when I am at my best, how am I? How do I behave? How do I feel? Could be physical. I feel energized. Could be behaviorally. Maybe I know I'm kind. And could be psychologically. I feel grateful and optimistic. For me, I know that when I'm doing well, when I'm in my zone, when I manage all the stress, I have a great sense of humor, and it's easy for me to make a decision. Just ask yourself the opposite. When I am at my worst, when I know I don't manage my stress well, how am I? Where do I feel it? How do I behave? For me, I'm cynical, I'm judgmental, I'm impatient, I feel like everybody is too slow. I'm certainly not the leader or the friend I want to be. What is it like for you? Maybe you feel it in your shoulders. Maybe you have a hard time to digest. Maybe it's hard for you to sleep. Why is it important? We don't have a thermometer or a blood pressure cuff to measure that. So it's important to be aware of how we're doing, because without being aware and without great awareness, there is no way we're going to make a change. So think about those things. Think also about, what do I know 100% in any circumstances is always helping me? Taking a walk, calling my best friend, going to bed early, listening to some upbeat music. What is it? And again, what do you know that is always making you feel worse? What's never helping you? For me, not getting enough sleep. Ironically, and if you think about this and reflect, most of the time when we're not doing well, when we are not managing well, when we are at our worst, we just do the opposite. So for me, when I'm impatient, judgmental, critical, cynical, and my stress is up to here, and I don't manage it well, guess what? Am I going to go for a walk? Of course not. I am going to even want to work even more and therefore sleep less. This is just the opposite of what I should do. So I know that for me, I'm going to literally drag myself, go for a walk, take some steps, get away from the office, get into the nature, and that's going to help me. So use this as feedback loop. And if you know that something is helping you, then guess what? Good news, you have a solution. Bad news, it's up to you. And it's on you to really be in charge of putting this oxygen mask on you first. Next slide. Now I'm going to take you to some practical tools that are really going to increase your stress management technique and your resilience technique. Resilience is this ability to bounce back from whatever happened. And it's not that stress is not going to happen. It is going to happen. And it's not like you're not going to feel it and be scared or sad or mad or tense. Of course you're going to if something bad happens. But when you practice those tools day in and day out, you really weave them into the fabric of your life. And even better, you teach them. Guess what? We teach best what we need to learn, and you model them for your friends or your kids or your peers, your coworkers. You really get good at it. Next one. It starts with self-care. The most important word in self-care is self. And I'm going to say it over and over and over again. Self-care means I'm paying attention to my needs. I make sure I have nutritious food. I don't skip a meal. I get enough sleep. I get some movement. I stay hydrated. And I stay connected. If you don't do the basic, this is really the foundation. Everything else is going to be unstable. So this is like the first basic thing is making sure that you practice healthy habits. Do you need to be rigid about it? No. Do you need to be 100% doing it? No. Tomorrow you have another chance. You do it again. It's about consistency and sustainability. And so baby steps is really what this is about. Next slide. Meditation, we did that. Meditation is an amazing tool. It's really taking your brain to the gym. Research shows that in just a few minutes of meditation a day for several weeks, change the physiology of our body and the anatomy of our brain. It's incredible. If you think about it, it's literally going at the gym and, you know, working on our biceps or triceps. We're working on our brain with meditation, regular meditation. We can change the size of our amygdala, which is our center of fear, and our frontal cortex, which is our executive functioning and where we make decision and our judgment reside. So there are plenty different forms of meditation, and you need to find one that works for you. Prayer is a form of meditation. What we did before, which was a guided meditation, guided imagery meditation, is a form of meditation. I hope that you find one that works for you. There's plenty app, and I'm happy to share that with you later on how to start to meditate. Next slide. Mindfulness. This is so important and so difficult. Mindfulness is the skill, this art to be present. I'm not in the past, what I could have done, should have done, would have done. I'm not in the future, the to-do list, the regret, the worries, what's going to happen. I'm in here and in the now. For me, this moment is perfect. I do something I love. You are interested because you sign up. You are amazing, as this video confirmed it to me. We are safe. This is perfect. But it would be so easy to tell you, oh my gosh, you won't believe it, what day I have. And I still need to send this email after this, and completely be not in the here and now. Why is it important? It's because a lot of our worries, a lot of our tension, a lot of our anxiety is really about stories we tell ourselves. How long this is going to last? How bad is my pain going to be? When are we going to go back? When are we going to get, when should we get our next immunization? And on and on and on. All those things that we don't know. We need to stay focused on the fact and on the present. We prepare for the future, but worry about it won't help. Give you a more simple example. Worry about my retirement is not going to put money in my saving account, right? I need to save money every paycheck, so I can retire with enough money saved. Worry about my retirement is not going to do anything. So staying present, stay focused. One way is to use our senses. And right now, use your senses, what you see, what you hear, what you smell, taste, and feel. Takes a few seconds, and that's one way to, boom, I'm in the present. It's helping us to literally get off the train of thoughts and not being hijacked by our worries to create unnecessary anxiety. Research shows that when we are in the present, we are so much more effective, and we are so more resilient and resourceful. We all think that doing 3 things at once saves time, but it's just the opposite. Next slide. This is my favorite quote, Eleanor Roosevelt. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift. I think I add that. That's why we call it present. I love that quote. Next one. Let's talk another easy tool, breathing. We breathe about 20 or so thousand times a day. So we have plenty of opportunity to practice. And if we breathe in a way that our exhalation or out breath is longer than our in breath, we send a message to the brain that it's okay to relax. So we're going to do this together. Again, there's no way you cannot do this right. Don't make it complicated, belly breath or nose, mouth. Just breathe normally, but follow my count. So breathing in, 2, 3, 4, hold it. Breathe out. Again, breathe in, hold it, breathe out. And breathe normally. This is such a great tool because it can be done literally anywhere. In your shower, as you are driving, you are on the call, anywhere, since you're breathing anyway. So just remember that if your exhalation, if your out breath takes a longer time than the in breath, you're sending a message that it's okay to relax. And in a way, you trick your mind. A minute or two of this is enough to, again, creating some physiological change. You know what? Even intuitively, we know that. As when we cite quick in breath, longer out breath, like, ah. So we know it. Every single tool I'm going to talk about today are very simple. A kid could do it. The important thing is to practice it. They only work if we take the time to do it. A lot of the time, people ask, when is the good time to do it? Well, it's certainly the time is the time that you are going to commit. But don't wait to be, you know, with stress up to here to practice simple those breathing technique. I remember to have, you know, this was when long time ago, I was in the emergency room and on calls, and someone was receiving bad news and tried to breathe technique at that time and say it's not working. Well, if you're receiving bad news, guess what? You are going to feel bad. It's this is the way, this is normal. But if you are practicing those resilience techniques, those self-care techniques, the difference is you bounce back quicker. That's all. But don't think that this is, you know, no, bulletproof and you're not going to feel. Part of human condition, we know, is to feel the good, the bad, and everything between, all of it. Next slide. Gratitude, probably one of my favorites. We all know what it means. And there is so many reasons to be grateful, despite everything that's going on. My personal technique, I write down 3 things I'm grateful for every single morning. It set up the tone of the day to remind me how blessed I am, despite all the challenges. And sometimes there are many, and sometimes it's even overwhelming. But can I find things to be grateful? So if you don't like to write it down, you can think about it. There is, of course, plenty phone of app to write things you are grateful for, or journal, but just more a philosophy of starting the day with an acknowledgement of what you are grateful for, or people you are grateful for. Next slide. Positivity. That's a good one. Positivity is this intention of finding what's right. So it's not about pretending everything is okay. It's not pretending that we are not in the middle of a challenge and having difficulties or pain or that we are suffering, but what do we find that is still right? So if I take this image of glass here, it is both half full and half empty. And we all know that if we choose to see the glass half full, we are going to feel better. Research will show over and over and over again that when we are in that state of seeing the glass half full, which is half empty, let's face it, but I'm choosing to see it half full, we are going to be able to be, again, more resilient, more resourceful, more creative, more finding more solutions. I start all my meetings with sharing either a testimonial, a good story. I ask the questions to my staff, what is something good that happened to you personally over the last 24 hours? So it sets the tone to the team to be positive, even though we might have a very challenging meeting, maybe about budget or things that are challenging. To be in a positive state is how we're going to be resourceful. Next one. Social connection. So it's not because we were and we are still in a time where we had to practice physical distancing that social distancing need to be practiced. I always hate it when we heard that we had to practice social distancing. No, physical distancing. But we certainly need more than ever our connection and finding a ways that we can stay connected. Events like tonight, where we really feel the presence of the community. We know we are breathing together. What else can we do? Yeah, we are certainly able to get more outside and be more active and reaching out to our loved ones. But this is something that we really need to be creative on how do we maintain this. Practice kindness. It's the gift that keeps giving, the gift that the giver is just as happy as the receiver, but also having the courage to ask for help if we need to, and it is a sign of courage. Next one. In summary, okay, so stress is not avoidable, and actually, stress can sometimes be positive. It gives us, if we manage it well, it gives us courage, it gives us focus, it gives us energy, it helps us to prioritize. So it's not that stress is the enemy, it's our unmanaged response. Being aware of your symptoms, of your signs, not your symptoms, your signs. Do you manage your stress well or not? And if not, let's make sure you do more of what's helping to you and you practice those tools. Set up an intention. Maybe starting tomorrow, pick something, one thing. Maybe you're going to meditate 1 minute a day. Maybe you're going to move a little more. Just put a few more steps into your day. Maybe you're going to make sure you practice 1 moment of mindfulness. 1 moment of we are here without distraction, completely present. Whatever it is, keep it small, 1 minute, so you are successful and it's becoming a habit. The importance is really to weave those modalities into your days and make a commitment between you and you. It is time to put the oxygen mask on you. Next one. I'm here for questions. Again, thank you so much for inviting me tonight. I am deeply, deeply touched by the video and so impressed to witness what you have accomplished. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adan. That was wonderful. I know I learned a lot. We do have a few minutes for questions for Dr. Adan. So for someone who has tried before, but meditation didn't stick, what's a good entry point to try it?
choose something. Okay, so when we say it didn't click or it didn't work, I'm going to say, what was your expectation? A lot of time people saying that meditation is having the mind go blank. The mind is not going to go blank, God helping, in a very long time. The mind is a thought organ producer. It's keeping thinking, judging, observing constantly. But meditation allows you to have a little bit more space so you don't react. So don't expect that as you meditate, you're not going to think, you're not going to hear, you're not going to judge. Your mind is going to keep going. 2 is take 1 minute. 1 minute. And I think that the easier way to meditate is to use a guided meditation. So someone who is taking you to a visual exercise or a breathing exercise. There are several apps that are available. I'm just going to mention 2: Headspace, Calm, Insight Timer, say 3. So Calm, Headspace, Insight Timer. But keep it short. Keep it short.
I hope somebody wrote those down for me. But how do you stop your mind from racing?
You know, be gentle with yourself. So this is a time to have so much compassion for others. You know, none of us have been all the time at our best right now, right? Or Zoom doesn't work, or we are late, or the dog barks, or who knows what's happening. And, you know, let's use our humor, let's use forgiveness, compassion, and compassion for herself. So if my mind is racing, this is the time to say, okay, am I practicing my self-care? Am I doing what's helping to me? If I stay with the fact, do I have a reason to be worried about something? And therefore, I should have compassion for myself. And just having, you know, that often helps. And then you can also, again, try to practice to stay present. So can you get off the train of, you know, your train of thoughts? By that, all right, I'm taking my cup of tea. I'm feeling the weight, the warm. I'm smelling it. I take a little sip. I taste it. I'm just really trying to distract myself from this train of thoughts, worry, by being back into the moment using my senses. So I'm get off the train of thoughts. A great way to do that is at night. When we wake up, you know, like at 3 or 4, and the mind starts going, what do I need to do? What's tomorrow like? What am I going to eat? What am I going to wear? What meetings do I have? Blah, 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 blah. By then, I'm completely awake, right? And there is no way I'm going to fall back asleep. I just went into my train of thoughts. Anchor myself in the present is, it's 4 a.m. I'm still tired. And then I use my senses. I feel the pillow supporting my neck. I hear my pet who's snoring. I see the curtains close. Maybe there is a shadow of some light. And I basically, guess what? Often I fall back asleep quickly because I'm out of my train of thoughts, and I'm able to fall back asleep.
So you mentioned sleep, and it's very important. How much sleep should we be getting?
Most of us need between 6 and 8 hours. Most of us need that. There is a very small percentage of the population that needs less, but the vast majority of us need that, which means a lot of us are sleep deprived. So we need to have, you know, the discipline to have enough sleep. And, you know, it is one of the most helpful healthcare tip that we can do. Again, it shows that not having good sleep make everything worse. Not only the way we behave, but the way we feel, but even can lead to a lot of chronic disease.
What technique would be the best to use in an acute extreme pain situation?
So, that's tough again, right? I mean, sometimes it's don't know the example, but I'm going back to sometimes we're going to feel what we don't want to feel. If it's sorrow, sadness, excruciating pain, either emotional or physical. And at that time, sometimes it is what it is. We no magic bullet is going to get us out of there. What's helpful though is to, it shows that, again, try to be into the moment, not like, oh my gosh, what does that mean? How bad is it going to be? Am I going to have enough medication? What does that mean? Nobody's going to be here. Should I go to an emergency room? Blah, 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 blah. That then, transform this pain 8, and by then it's like a 12. So try to stay put with the present. Some breathing technique can help, but I also want to normalize that sometimes things are very difficult, emotionally, heart or in our body. I think that knowing that, depending what are the circumstances, dentist, we know that this will pass. We know that this will pass, right? So, okay, I know that, all right, whatever it is going to pass. Or, a shot, it's going to pass. So not sure I'm totally answering the question, and I hope that, if I don't, please keep writing in the chat. So combination of trying to be in the present, into the moment, not making your pain worse, practicing those techniques such as breathing, mindfulness, trying to get distracted, maybe music, maybe literally get distracted by, watching something can help, but also normalizing again the fact that sometimes we are going to feel the pain. That doesn't mean that we're not going to be okay, and that doesn't mean that we are not resilient.
That's great. So the next few months will be weird when we see people. We've had this physical distancing. Do we elbow bump? Do we handshake? Do we hug? Do we do nothing? How can we manage the awkwardness that comes with this?
It's going to be, right? It is already. I think that first, we obviously need to continue to follow the CDC recommendation and the recommendation of the healthcare specialist, and trust that they know what's right. But as there is more leeway to connect with each other, I think that always ask and don't make assumption that, I want a hug or I want a handshake. Just ask, what does the other person, what feel comfortable, and make sure that if you are not comfortable, you are voicing your concern, and you say, no, I prefer the elbow. I prefer not the hug right now, and that's okay. I think that we're all going to experience this little awkwardness, but I think that this pandemic has taught us a lot, and I'm saying that with all respect to people who have lost, it may be loved one or jobs, or have been to immense difficulties. It has also taught us how to have, again, understanding and accepting that we are different, and that's what makes us richer as a community. And maybe you like a hug and I don't, and we need to be cool with that, right? This is okay. We still can have a great conversation, or a fun evening.
Absolutely. So one last question. In addition to sleep, are there any physical health related strategies or tips that are helpful to maintain physical wellness during this time?
Moving. And you know, when we have been a little bit captive and or hostage to be at home more, it's been certainly more difficult. You know, some people are incredibly resourceful and have started to work out at home, but certainly moving is important. And I don't even call it exercise. Find a way that you move, and it could be walking, swimming, taking a yoga class, dancing, whatever you do, moving is what's going to keep you healthy and keep you independent, because we stay strong and balanced, and it's so important. So finding a way that, and a great way is go, you know, we have, I don't think I've ever seen that many people and family walking in the parks, never, right? People have really taken advantage of this safe, social outdoor activity. It's been great to see.
You mentioned 3 of my favorite things to do. So thank you, Dr. Adan. Thank you for reminding me, at least, that while I can't avoid stress, that I have the ability to manage it. And I really appreciate your meditation and reminding me to breathe. So it was wonderful having you here tonight.
Thank you so much, Shelley. Thank you, everyone.
If you or someone you care about is having trouble coping, please call Access Jewish Cleveland to be connected to resources. These are free and confidential resources and referral services for the Jewish community. Please join us for these other programs. For parents with young children aged 8 and under, PJ Library, J-Hub, and the Mandel JCC invite you to its Shavuot Ice Cream Socialish on Sunday, May 16th. Drive through the Mandel JCC's Stonehill parking lot to get delicious Ben & Jerry's ice cream treat and a special Shavuot package. 2 times are available and registration is required. Our community is vibrant and strong because of you and your support of the annual campaign for Jewish needs. Save the date for the launch of the 2022 campaign on August 31st. There will be more information to follow. And watch for other events and programs to stay connected over the summer. I thank you for joining us. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay connected. Thank you.